Hello, crafty friends. Happy Friday. It is February 25th, and we're here for Flosstube. This is Flosstube number 72. This is take two. Actually, take three. I don't know. It's take something. I have been trying to record multiple times. I keep getting too into my feelings, so we'll try this again. I think what I'm going to do is try to is just hit the high points and then move on to the stitching because some things need to be talked about, but if I get too into it, it's too much. And part of what I want to talk about is the fact that I'm at capacity emotionally. So, so highlights. And here's your content warning. I'm going to be talking about stuff that is not stitchy related. I'm not a stitchy automaton, as Michelle G says. I do not stitch in a vacuum. So I'm going to be talking about some non-stitchy stuff because it's affecting my life significantly. If you're not into that, feel free to fast forward. If you are not in a mental place, if your mental health does not allow you to listen to this stuff, there's going to be discussion of transphobia, there's going to be discussion of racism, there's going to be discussion of current world events. If you're not in a mental place to handle that, that is valid. Take care of yourself, fast forward, skip the whole video if you need to, take care of you. So that being said, one of the starting point, I guess, chronologically, there was it was a big deal on Instagram. If you haven't been on Instagram, you may not know about it. There was a designer who is going to be at Nashville who was planning on having a Civil War design that featured the Confederate flag. There were going to be thread winders with the Confederate flag sold at Nashville. Thankfully, because of lots of folks in the community reaching out to this designer and saying this is not okay, providing some education, providing some, in what my opinion was respectful call-ins. I guess technically they were call-outs because it was public. It was on a public post she put on Instagram. But there was a lot of respectful folks saying, hey, this is not okay, this is a symbol of hate, this is a symbol of racism, of violence, and all of the things, which I'm so thankful to our community that there are so many folks willing to stand up and say, no, this is not okay. So lots of folks saying that. She did make a change. It's not, in my opinion, a good enough change, but it's better than no change. It progressed from pulling the thread winders and having the Confederate flag inside of the chart with a trigger warning sticker on it. It progressed from that to her not having the pattern at Nashville at all, which is awesome. I'm glad she won't be selling it at Nashville. She has not said that she's pulling the design totally. I'm certainly not trying to destroy her reputation or her business or anything like that, but this is a thing that happened. She did make a change for the better, and I appreciate that. But further change needs to happen. Further growth needs to happen there. That's my opinion. But that's been weighing on my mind very heavily. That was a very big deal for at least a week, being constantly involved in what was going on and putting as much of my emotional energy as I could into assisting and letting folks know and that kind of stuff. So, and just for the record, I posted this on Instagram as well, but just for the record, I want to state as publicly as possible that I am a supporter of BIPOC people. I am a believer that Black Lives Matter. I do not tolerate symbols of racism and hate. I will not sell that stuff in my shop. I will not purchase it for my own person. I will not promote those things in any way, shape, or form because I want the spaces that I occupy to be safe for everyone. So that includes Black folks, Indigenous folks, any people of color, people of all races and ethnicities, and everyone who falls under the LGBT LGBTQIA2S plus umbrella, everyone, all of the rainbow everything. Um, I want my spaces to be safe spaces for all of those folks. So if you're not here for that, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. If you're not okay with all of those folks, then we may not be the right folks for each other. Just I'm doing a lot of work on myself to become a better person and a better ally, in all of the respects that I can manage, and I want all of the spaces that I occupy to be as safe as possible for all of the folks. So that's where we are with that. But it's been huge and heavy that we're having this conversation in 2022, that the Confederate flag is a symbol of hate, and it needs to not be propagated. I think there are spaces where how do I say this? Like, the image belongs in history books so that we know that it existed. I don't think it belongs in our artwork. It doesn't belong in our crafts. It doesn't belong in spaces, in other spaces. It belongs specifically only in those spaces that are meant to teach you something so that you don't keep making the same mistakes. That's it. That's it. And I would argue that most people don't need a picture of a swastika to know that the Nazis were bad. So, anyway. So, um, so that's one of the big things. Other big things going on currently, that I am doing my best to answer calls to action on, and I hope you will too. I'm going to put links in the description, most of which we can all thank our resident stitch dad, D's 20 Stitches, for gathering together, for making these calls to actions, for helping us to know better where to put our efforts. So in addition to donating to charities that are listed down here, or not charities, but organizations on the ground in Texas that are listed down here, you might want to throw just a couple bucks D's way for their time and effort in putting this stuff together, and to give them a little bit of pocket change to buy a coffee so that they can take some time for self-care, because I know how hard it is on me. I I know how hard it is on me. I can only imagine how hard this is on D. So, spare a thought for D, spare a coffee for D, but also action. Do the things. So I'm going to put some links down here. If you haven't gotten the email from D, there is a fantastic email, and it's specifically a call to action from Dee and Kari, providing the potential for you to get a free chart that says "Don't mess with trans kids." It's a fantastic chart, but in order to get the chart, you are pledging to take action, and there's several organizations that you can support. I believe that there's some, and these may not be in the links that I'm going to give you, but I know that you can reach out to legislators in your area and other areas. You can write letters, you can send emails. There's a lot of stuff that you can do. So please donate money to organizations that are helping. Spend a few minutes sending some emails and some messages and letting folks know that this is not okay. Did I even talk about but the issues are in Texas specifically. Governor Abbott is trying to say that parents who provide any kind of gender affirming care to their children are abusing their children, and this is not okay. I'm not okay with it. I can't go further into it, or I just can't. It's not okay. Do things to help, please. Please. Trans kids' lives matter. Okay, please help. Links. So that's happening in Texas. Similar crap is happening in Florida, but the issue in Florida is the one, they want to keep discussion of anything trans related, anything LGBTQ, like anything that's not cis heterosexual. They want to keep it all out of schools, and in addition to that, they want to force schools to disclose when students say that they are gay or they are trans or they are whatever. whether or not the child wants that disclosed, whether or not it's safe for the child to have that disclosed. These things are happening. People are trying to enact these awful, awful things in Texas and in Florida, and we can help. We should help. Please help in whatever way you can. If all you have to donate is your time, please send messages, send emails, do anything you can. So that's a big thing. But that's more recent. That's been in the last 2 or 3 days, and is not at all resolved. Unlike the other stuff with market is ish resolved. And then of course, and not to throw this in as an afterthought, but I honestly I still can't wrap my brain around it. Russia's invading Ukraine. Like, how is that a thing that we're saying right now? Like, what is? Yeah. So I don't know how to help. I'm still investigating how to help. I'm still investigating what can be done. So that's a thing. That's something that's happening. So, with all of that in mind, it's been a rough couple of weeks. It was already I was already having difficulties before all of this, and this has just not helped at all. Obviously, because probably most of February, I think I've been in a downswing. Just like lower energy. I haven't hit that like super low baseline that I used to have, but when I was talking about my baseline was like up here now, it feels more like my baseline's down here. Not like all the way down here, but it's not good. I've had low energy, difficulty dealing with all of the things that I want to deal with. And I'm not really sure what the issue is. It could well be because in addition to all of this stuff, we're also in a position where the CDC is starting to pull, or is getting ready to pull masking, and a lot of places in the Commonwealth of Virginia, our governor has specifically removed mask mandates and has now banned schools from enacting mask mandates. So that's been happening for the last month. Just all over the place, folks are starting to pull back the mask mandates and things like that. And it's nerve-wracking to me. I will say that Virginia's numbers are the lowest they have been in months, I think. I think we have finally hit a positivity rate that is lower than where we were at Delta. As of this morning, our positivity rate was 8.9%. However, they're no longer asking folks who take at-home tests to report. So this is only when folks go somewhere to get a lab test that they're, I don't know. Anyway, reported numbers are significantly lower. We're under 3,000 new cases a day. The reported positivity rate is under 9%. So theoretically, according to the numbers, everything is getting back to normal, but it doesn't. I'm just nervous. I don't know if this is okay yet. And in addition to that, the Department of Labor and Industry here in Virginia is getting ready to rescind their requirements, which is one of the things that has these standards that they put in place a couple of years ago are one of the things that has kept my agency working remotely. So once they rescind that, it will only be a matter of time before our agency goes to work back in the office, and that's definitely creating anxiety. Probably be talking about that with my counselor in not too long. But we are going to have a hybrid teleworking schedule or policy going forward, at least for a trial period. So I should actually be able to work from home 2 days a week once we do go back in the office. But I just have anxiety about going back to the office. All kinds of anxiety. So all of that is like probably all of that, you know. And if I could remember the particular date where I really started, where like the energy started slipping, it might have been close to the time that I heard that that was happening, because that's a thing. So yeah, all of this is going on. All of the world is exploding around me, and then I also have my silly little trivial whatevers. So I'm struggling a bit, struggling just a little bit. It is where it is. So as a result, I haven't posted Flosstube in a couple of weeks. Hopefully this Flosstube will be okay for you. I was gonna apologize for talking about all this stuff up front, but I'm not gonna apologize because this is who I am. So I'm not gonna apologize for who I am if it's not your bag. Um, that's that's fine. I don't know. I understand if it's not your deal or if you can't deal with it right now. I understand that. That's what I'm trying to say, is that I understand if this is not what you're looking for. But yeah, so that's what's going on. That's what's going on. So I've been doing Twitch. I've still been doing Twitch at least twice a week, which has been good because y'all really help me deal with the week sometimes. It's a little stressful. Yesterday was a whole thing. So yesterday on the Twitch stream, and you can go over to Twitch and you can watch this if you want to. One of the very first things that happened is that Momo was in the way, and I tried to move her. And consequently, in the process of moving her, I knocked over my cup of water, which spilled all across my table, including on my planner. So then I had to put everybody kind of on pause while I cleaned that up. Adam helped me clean it up. And then when I came back, the mic wouldn't work. So that was fun times. So I was incredibly frazzled on stream yesterday. But even so, you fantastic folks that join me for lunchtime every day, y'all, you give me so much life. You really do. So I've been keeping that up, at least the lunchtime streams, because it really is uplifting, and I appreciate it. I love that y'all join in. I keep wanting to do streams in the evening and streams on the weekends and stuff, but I find that I have just very limited capacity for social stuff. Because I haven't even been joining in on a lot of other people's streams just to chat, because I just don't have the capacity. To let y'all know where I've been mentally, I've been knitting a lot this week and not stitching very much, because knitting is it's like my hiding space. It's my cozy place. What you doing, Momo? She's very oh, we're gonna show cat butt. Okay. Apparently that's what I'm getting known for. Like, at some point, probably the folks on my channel will be called the cat butts or something like that. I don't know. You're supposed to give your followers names. Like, everybody, I think like, Katiosaurus, her folks are Fruit Snack Nation, which is super cute and everything. I don't want my folks to be the cat buttholes, but that seems to be all we ever talk about is cat buttholes. So anyway, should we talk about some stitching? Let's talk about some stitching. That was at least the shortest version of that I've gone through this morning. So so it's been a minute since we talked. It's been a minute since I showed you anything. I do have 2 new starts and a finish to show you. And Momo wants to be in my lap. What you doing, babe? What you doing? Now you're just stuck. Now you're stuck. What you doing? What you doing? Huh? You're so sweet. And of course, the double-edged sword of cats is that they react to my general state and my emotions. So if I'm agitated, they can feel that, they react to that. Unfortunately, that reaction is usually to get more in my face and be more annoying than usual, which does not help my agitation. But this is okay. This is okay. Yes. You just come to check on me. So yes. Momo is my primary caretaker. Though it's funny, when I'm physically not feeling well, like when I feel ill, Luna is the one who comes and hangs out with me, and she checks on me, and she nuzzles me. But like, Momo is my emotional caretaker. She's usually hanging out with me when I'm having like bad mental days. I think it's kind of hilarious. Loki is just kind of like my good boy all the time. Okay, so let's talk some stitching. And I'll kind of go in chronological order because I have like 2 weeks. I don't have that much stitching, but because it's been 2 weeks, it seems like, or it's been 3 weeks actually. I haven't actually done that much, but because it's been so long, it's going to seem like I have a lot of stuff. This is the normal amount I would show you in 1 week, but it's been over 3 weeks. So let me start with Schnabelperchten. So that is my February new start. I can't remember how many total stitches I have in on this. Probably 500-ish, 600-ish. I suppose. I could have looked at the tablet. I still can. If Momo will let me do anything. Momo. Momo. Silly baby. Okay. Where is Schnabelperchten? Here it is. Oh, I have over 1,000 stitches in this. I didn't realize that. Okay. So I have in total about 1,012 stitches in this. You're actually starting to be able to see the design that's happening. So that's quite a lot of work that I put into that. And part of me wanted to keep stitching this until I finished that bottom band, but that's a lot of stitching. So I did go ahead and put a pause on this. I haven't gone back to it. So this is where I got as of 2 weeks ago. So this is, yeah, as of the 11th of February. So that's all the stitching I've done. I've been trying really, really hard to just let the variegation do what the variegation wants to do and just let it be. It's been a struggle because I want to control it and it doesn't want to be controlled. It's kind of like a cat. Trying to get it to do what I want it to do and it does not want to do that. So that is Schnabelperchten. So I put 1,000 stitches in it since I started it on February 1st. That is that. Momo, can you not? I don't want to lay this flat because she's going to try to lay on it. Okay, maybe I can. Hey, stop chewing on that. Stop it. Momo. Stop. And the fabric for Schnabelperchten is a color and cotton Lugana. It's a 28 count, and it is in the colorway Succulent. Can you come here? Can you come here? Okay. And I'm using Kathy Davidson's Peacock Party cotton floss for that. So that is that. I've also worked a fair bit on my Gamer Nouveau full coverage piece. That didn't last long. I've been working on this primarily on stream because I have a lot of background stitching to do. So it's a pretty good one for pulling up and stitching while I'm on stream. And I have stitched, I think I've put about 500 stitches in this month since I've started using it on stream, or stitching on it on stream. So this line right here, or this, where this stops right here, that's the bottom of the first page. And I think the page goes to like somewhere like right there. So I have quite a bit left to even get a page finished. I think I've got about 0.75% finished on this full design. It's got almost 200,000 stitches, and I have stitched about 1,600 of those 200,000. So that's where we are with Gamer Nouveau. This is a Medusa doll maker piece. I purchased the kit from Gecko Rouge, and I'm stitching it 1/1 on 25 count Easy Grid Lugana. I believe it's Easy Grid. I prefer this particular type of gridded fabric because it's softer. The pink grid fabric is pretty stiff. So that's not my preference. I like this. Also, this is gridded with 10x10 grids. The pink is 20x20 grids. I like the 10x10 grids better. So, and I have my Gamer Nouveau needle minder, which I believe I purchased directly from Medusa Doll Maker, or I purchased from Gecko Rouge. I can't remember where I got it from. Might have been Gecko Rouge on Etsy. Regardless, it's licensed, fully licensed Medusa doll maker. So that is that. This has been on stream quite a lot. In fact, my most recent stream, I actually got 117 stitches, which I think was a personal best. That was Tuesday's stream, I think. So, yep, that is coming along. Coming along. Okay, so that is, let's see. Yeah, so I worked on that the week of February 11th, and I worked on it this week too. I didn't work on it last week. Last week, what I worked on, last week I had a new start because Sunday was the 13th of February, so my dark 13 stitching was to start another of the creepy cryptids. This is the Cone of Doom, which is not technically part of the creepy cryptid Sal. It was an extra chart added on, but even though it's not sized perfectly to fit into that last slot, it is sized pretty much the same as all of the other, it's a comparable size to all of the other creepy cryptids, so I'm going to be including it in my creepy cryptids book. So that is my start on Cone of Doom, and that is about 48 stitches. I did start this on stream on Monday the 14th, so I think technically, yeah, I did my dark 13 stitching on the 14th. Because I couldn't get to it on Sunday, I think, or maybe I put 1 or 2 stitches in it and then I did the rest of it on stream. I can't recall. Oh no, I did. I put like 5 stitches in it on the 13th, and that was primarily because that weekend I decided I was going to dye fabric, and the dyeing the fabric took everything out of me that weekend. I have been like a permanently exhausted pigeon since I spent that weekend dyeing fabric. And I'm still working to get all of that stuff ready. I'm going to offer up my pretty much the entire stock of dyed fabric I have right now. I'm going to offer that up to my patrons first. They'll get first dibs. Whatever is left after my patrons get first dibs, I am going to be putting onto the website. I'm going to be listing it on the website. Oh, which reminds me. I meant to say this earlier. So in discussion about Nashville Market, so let's talk market just for a second. I had already made the decision weeks ago that I was not going to attend Nashville Market in person for a number of reasons. Part of it is being uncomfortable with the lack of masking and vaccination requirements. Part of it, at least an equal part of it, was just that I don't think it's the right decision for me this year. I was not going to have anybody to go with me to help deal with all of the purchases and the running around and the getting orders and stuff together. I was not going to have anybody who could go with me. I was going to have to drive by myself. And I know that, especially it being the first time I was going to market, I was going to need some backup just to be able to survive the weekend. So without having anybody to be able to go with me, that was a huge issue. But also, I think it's just too much for me right now. It's just too much. On a business level, on a personal level, it's just too much. So I'd already decided not to attend. I was going to try to do some pre-orders with some designers that were willing to ship aftermarket, and I have actually decided not to do that at this point. And that is primarily for my mental health, because it is a huge lift to set up all those listings, to organize all the pre-orders, to get all the orders made. It's a huge lift, and I just decided that I was not best served with that right now. I will still be participating. My plan is fully to participate in the virtual expo that will happen in August, September. So I'll continue participating in expo so long as they keep doing a virtual expo. It's a lot easier on me. I don't need as much logistically because I can be here in my space where all of my office supplies and things are while I'm setting everything up. So I still plan on participating in expo. Nashville Market is TBD. It's totally TBD right now. I had my intention had always been to jump into market as soon as I was able. I had only just started the business in 2020, so I started it like literally right after market happened. And then obviously 2021 was canceled. I was totally going to jump in this year, but after thinking about it and thinking about ultimately what I want the focus of my business to be, and the things that I want to be doing, I've put a big old question mark over market going forward. Part of that is the climate of market. I'm not sure if it's a space that I want to be in. Part of it is knowing how much, how big a lift dealing with all of the everything that is market. And that's not only the business lift, but the mental lift, because I'm not an extrovert. And a busy, crowded place like that might not be the best place for me mental health wise. So yeah, big question mark over Nashville market going forward. But Expo, Needlework Expo, I fully plan on participating as often as I can. So that's that. Now, talking about the direction of my business, things that I want to be doing, I've said in a couple of places. I can't remember if I've said here on Flosstube. One of my big pushes this year is to do more creating of my own stuff, and that's not to say to do less cross stitching and things like that, but I want to create more things that originate from me this year. That includes dyeing more fabric, because it's something that I really love. I think it's something that folks really enjoy when I make it. So it's something that I want to put more time and energy and investment into, and it's hard for me to do that and try to keep up with all of the new releases from all of the different designers and stuff like that. So what I'm considering doing going forward is with the Etsy shop, with the website, is actually kind of pulling back on the number of designers that I offer, and sort of curating a smaller list of designers that I either know personally or know fairly well, so that I can make sure that, excuse me, so I can make sure that, one, I'm not overtaxing myself trying to keep up with too many new releases and too many designers, but also so that I can make sure that the charts that I am providing are supporting designers that I know have similar values and things like that. So I'm not going to be working as hard to bring all the new releases from all the new designers and all the everybody everywhere. I have never been able to bring all of the everything. There have been a lot of designers or charts that I have sort of shied away from anyway, because I tend not to want to I tend not to want to list things that are very heavily like colonial and stuff like that, or Civil War related and those kinds of things. So I've always kind of shied away from designers that were too into that grouping of motifs and stuff. But I think now I'm going to pull back even further and maybe have a list of 10 to 20 designers that I support and keep up with on a regular basis. Because I think that's going to be more manageable and will give me more time to focus on making things, which is really what I want to be doing. I want to be making things. So in addition to dyeing fabric, I want to be designing my own charts, and I need time to do these things. And I'm trying to do too many things. I always have tried to do too many things. And especially with the business, it's not serving me to spend all of my time working on listings and keeping up with 700 designers and all of their new releases. It's not serving me. It's not serving what I want for my business. So I'm going to pull away from that. And, when and if I get to the point that I have a physical location and I'm a brick and mortar cross stitch shop, that will change. I will widen the net and I will try to cover even more designers and try to be a one-stop shop for my customers. But I'm not in that place yet, so I'm going to stop trying to be a one-stop shop when I'm not capable of it. I don't have the capacity for it right now, and I'm going to refocus on creating my own things and putting those out there. So yeah, so that was a long-winded way of saying I'm changing the way I'm doing things. But fabric dyeing is a thing. It's a thing that I want to do. It's a thing that I enjoy doing, that I feel like I'm good at. So I want to bring that more to the fore in my business, and that will start with the stuff that I have dyed recently, the stuff that I have on hand from the last round of dyeing I did. It'll include spending more time more often doing dye runs and stuff like that. My process is a little bit more involved than some, I think, because I pretty much exclusively use an ice dyeing method, which is, I think, very different than what a lot of other dyers do. So much smaller batches, much more time involved, things like that. But I want to have the time to do that. So changing the way it's part of this whole process of letting go of things that aren't serving me and refocusing on the things that I enjoy and that are more fulfilling and stuff like that. So that's where we are with that. And I already said this, but I'll say it again just in case I missed anything. All the stuff that I have on hand, as soon as I'm capable of getting it together in a consumable way, I'll be giving my Patreon folks, my patrons, first crack at all of the fabrics that I'm going to be selling, and then all of that will get listed on the website. And I will try to provide folks with some warning about that, because since I have a limited amount of stuff, I want to make sure that all of my patrons get an opportunity to see it and have a shot at it. I want to try to make sure that it's as fair as possible. And then I will notify the public at large when those listings are going to go live on the website once I know what is left over. So that's where we are with that. Yeah. So yeah, Dark 13 stitching, Cone of Doom, fun. I don't know what else to say. So that is, this is officially New Start number 5? Trying to keep track. I think that's New Start number 5. I had been keeping pretty good tabs on stuff. Yeah, so that must be New Start number 5. Because I have year to date for that week as 5 new starts. So even though this is one project, it's not a new project, I am counting it as a new start. Each of these will be a new start and a new finish, because they're individual designs. So yeah, that's how it's going. So that's my 5th new start of the year. And yeah, I think I already showed you my Mothman, my Moth Person. So you've already seen Moth Person. And then, and I think that weekend, the weekend of the 18th was WIPGO weekend, or was that the weekend before? I can't remember. I spent WIPGO weekend doing WIPGO projects, so I think. So in addition to starting the Cone of Doom last week on the 13th, I also stitched on Foxview. I'm completely losing my train of thought. Okay. Oh wow. Okay, I have about 20 minutes to get this finished. So this is my finish. So this was my this was one of my WIPGO goals for February, was to finish this piece. The other one is Fleur de Lis, which I haven't touched, and I don't think I'll end up touching it. So that'll get pushed off to some other part of the year. I'll work on it again later. I really did not feel called to it this month, and that's fine. I didn't really feel called to this, but I really wanted it to be done. So I think part of it was I knew that it was closer to a finish than a lot of the other pieces, and I think I just really, really wanted to finish it. Or I wanted a finish, and this was the closest thing. I was talking about this on Twitch. This is a bit of a contentious piece for me. I've talked about how I'm kind of on the fence about Plum Street samplers as far as whether I want to continue doing Plum Street samplers, just because of the connection to colonial themes. And like specifically one of her most recent releases was a Mount Vernon piece celebrating George Washington. And it doesn't completely jive with my whole vibe. So, which is a weird way of saying it, but anyway. So I'm really on the fence about supporting Plum Street samplers personally. Now that's no judgment against anybody who wants to continue stitching all of the cute animals ever. Plum Street samplers has, all of the animal stacks are cute as I don't know what. And Blackbird Fractor is one of my favorite charts. But on a personal level, I'm trying to decide whether I want to keep working with these. So there's that, but more than that, it's just that, and this has nothing to do with like the background, like intellectual question about this piece. For some reason, I have never enjoyed stitching this. Never. Even when I first started it last year, it's never felt enjoyable to stitch it. It does not bring me joy to stitch on this, or did not bring me joy. Seeing it finished, having it finished brings me joy. I'm very happy about it. I'm happy to have this little piece. I might turn it into a pillow because I think that would be super cute. But for some reason, stitching it was just not pleasant. And I don't know why. I don't know why. I think at least part of it was because I don't enjoy working with weak dye works, as it turns out, which is fine because I don't buy them anymore anyway. But I had already kitted this up. I was using the called for colors. And I just don't enjoy the weak dye works. I think the cotton itself doesn't feel as good, but also the way that they give you the lengths. Because the easiest thing for me to do is just to cut one side of it, and when you do that, the lengths are so short. They're way too short. But the only other thing is to completely unravel it and then rewrap it to the right length and then cut it, excuse me, which is a huge hassle. Whereas Classic Colorworks, all you have to do with Classic Colorworks is you pull it off of the little card, and you find the because it's basically just folded in half and then it's slipped on the card. So you just pull it off the card, unfold it, and then put it back on the card, and you have perfect lengths. Like they're fantastic. The length of those threads is fantastic to me. Same with Dinky Dyes, because I untwist it and then I cut one end of it, one end of the loop, and it's the perfect length of thread for me. So I love that. I love it when folks who dye threads make it so that it's easy to just straighten it out and cut one end and you got lengths and you don't have to worry about it. Weak Dye Works doesn't do that. They're super short. They're also only 5 yards. So even though the colors can be fantabulous, like, oh my gosh, sweet potato, can you not? Even though the colors can be fantabulous, I don't enjoy them. But it's fine because I'm not going to buy them anymore anyway. So, but regardless, this piece is finished. I think part of it was this time too, I was guilty. I felt guilty because it had no birds. And because it had no birds, I added birds. Can you see them? There's 2 little birds. And the scale of them is probably not appropriate because they're smaller than the bees. So there's one bird right there, and there's another little bird right there. This is my favorite part about the piece, is that I added these little birds. They're just like peeking out. How cute are they? I love it. Okay, so me and my silly stuff. But anyway, so this made me feel better about stitching on it because it did have birds now. And I will say that I got the inspiration for those little birds from one of the birds that's on the Long Dog Pandemic chart. There's a super cute like spread out bird, and I didn't have enough room to put the whole spread out bird with the wings and everything. So I just did the teeny tiny little front face of the bird. And I actually stitched these 1 over 1 so that they would fit. So yeah, that's one of my favorite parts of that piece. So it's absolutely my specific piece. Nobody else's piece will look like this. I also made a couple of errors, so my soul's not trapped either. My soul can escape because I made a couple of mistakes. But it does look super cute. It is super cute. And I'm so happy and so thrilled to have it finished. I wished I had enjoyed the process more. And it's unusual because I usually do enjoy the stitching a lot. I just didn't for whatever reason. So that's my finish since we last saw each other. And then, and that took me, let's see, I spent, all of my stitching last week was on that chart, and I spent 10 and a half hours through last week, and then another 7.5 hours on Sunday to finish that. So that was a whole lot of hours. That was like almost 20 hours of stitching just to finish that piece, because there was way more stitching than I thought there was going to be. I think some of it was like the frequent color changes and things not being connected in a way that was easy for me to color complete. I finally got into a groove on Saturday where I felt like it was flowing and it was going more quickly and more easily, so that was good. But I just still never got the same kind of enjoyment out of it that I get out of so many other stitches that I do. So I don't know. I don't know what that's about. And that's that piece. And then this week, most of my stitching this week, outside of finishing Foxview on Sunday, most of my stitching has gone into a model stitch that I can't show you, but it does have birds on it, so it's February. I haven't done nearly as much bird stitching as I expected to do this month. It's been a funky month. But the nice thing is Whipco next month will be a bird piece, so it's totally fine. So the last thing I stitched on, the other thing I stitched on this week, yesterday I started the Purim butterfly mask. This is a chart by Aya Rosen, and you can get it for free, or you can donate on Aya's Gumroad chart, or Gumroad site. There we go. But it's available for free, or you can donate some money to her, which, you know, wouldn't be a bad thing to donate some money to her. It's a really awesome chart. And I started this yesterday. Purim is not until about the middle of next month, but yesterday was Natty's birthday, and Natty asked that we start a Purim chart, this Purim chart, for hashtag Hamantaschensal. For her birthday. So I started this in honor of Natty yesterday. Happy birthday, Natty. And I actually, on stream yesterday, was trying to kit this up. I didn't have all the DMC, so I needed to do some color conversions. And you can kind of see, if you're familiar with this chart, you can see fairly easily that this color is not the called for DMC because it's variegated. The variegation doesn't show up really well on the body of the butterfly, but it's actually, it goes from pink to orange, that variegation, and I really love the effect of it. I also love the variegation on the green. It's looking really, really cool. So I've got about four or five classic Colorworks colors that I have subbed in for the DMC because I didn't have the DMC and I didn't want to go buy anything. I wanted to be able to start it yesterday, and I did. So I've got a fantastic blue color, Mermaid's Folly, that's going to be the primary blue for the butterfly wings, which I think is going to be awesome. I'm very excited about that. And then for one of the DMC colors, I'm actually going to blend two similar DMC colors. So it called for 436, but I had 437 and 435. So I'm going to actually take one of each of those threads to stitch that, and I think it's going to give it a nice dimensional look. I'm very excited about that. And I'm actually doing the Hebrew version of it. So there's three versions of this chart. One says Happy Purim in English. One says what I assume is Happy Purim in Hebrew. And then there's a third one that's like Wild and Free or something like that, in case you want to be able to stitch it without any Purim related anything. But I'm stitching this in honor of Natty, and also of folks who celebrate Purim. So this is about representation matters. So I'm doing it in Hebrew, and Jasmine and I both, knitting nurse, Jasmine and I both were wondering if it would be appropriate to stitch the Hebrew version since we're not Jewish. So she actually asked Natty, and Natty said that would be totally fine. And she appreciated the idea. And I know that Natty is not the designer, and Natty's not a monolith, and so on and so forth. However, she's someone that we appreciate and trust and respect, and she asked us to stitch the chart in the first place for her birthday. So that's who we checked in with about that, and she said that she appreciated the doing the Hebrew because it's nice to see more Hebrew out in the world. So I will do that. I want to do more things that help more people feel comfortable and seen out in the world. So if stitching Hebrew helps somebody feel more comfortable and seen, then that's something that I want to do. Because in addition to wanting to appreciate other religions and other ethnicities and other cultures, I want to help people feel seen and known in the world. So if I can do two of those things at one time, that's fantastic. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure that it was appreciation and not appropriation. I really, really respect the Jewish culture for a lot of different reasons. I could go in a whole different tangent for that. So I definitely want to make sure that when I am doing things related to Jewish culture and Jewish holidays, that I am respecting it and that I am appreciating it and not appropriating it. So because I am not. I'm not in a place where I can do all of the things that are required to actually to convert to Judaism, because it is not an easy process and there's a reason for that, and I respect that. So anyway, so yeah, so that's my new start. I am loving it so far. I can't wait to put more stitches into this. I do need to put a great amount of love into my model stitch. I'm not where I wanted to be at this point in the year on it, so I need to put some love into my model stitch. But I'll probably go back and forth between the two of those this weekend because I want to do more on this. Also, it would be really cool to have this finished by Purim. I think that would be nice. So yeah, so that's the stitching that I've done. I'm trying to think of what else. I may have to stop and come back because I have an appointment in like 6 minutes and I don't know if I can get through all the rest of this. So, two other things really quickly. So WhipGo for next month. 15 and 21 are the numbers. So for me, I'll put the editing Jesse will put the thing here. So 15 is Dark Queen Sal, and 21 is Fractor Birds. Why does that not sound right to me? Blackbird Fractor. Okay, that's why it didn't sound right. Is Blackbird Fractor, which is a piece I had wanted to work on this month and it just didn't happen. So I'm actually kind of excited that that's one of my whip goes for next month, because it gives me an excuse to continue stitching birds next month. So that will be pretty good. I'm not sure if I'm all in to stitch the Dark Queen right now. I'm not sure. We'll see if I actually stitch her. And as I said, I did not get to For to Lead this month, so that will be a whip go that I follow up at some other time. But I have stuff finished earlier than it's been called, so there will be points in time where I can work that in if I don't get it in this month or whatever. Well, I'm definitely not going to get it in February because Monday is the last day of February, so that's not happening. Other things for March. So in addition to WhipGo, March is the birthday month of a bunch of folks, and I believe Michelle and over at Bendy Stitchy and Aaron, Two Martini Stitcher, are two of the birthday people, and I believe they are the ones instigating the Quirky Quaker Sal for March. So I think that's a thing. I can't remember what the hashtag is if it's not Quirky Quaker Sal. But the idea is to stitch as many Quirky Quakers as you can during the month of March. So I'll be trying to jump in on that by stitching at least one Quirky Quaker during the month of March. There's a ton to choose from. So I'll be jumping in on that. A lot of folks are doing March matchups. I am not. And I don't mean that to be like this big statement against March matchups. Y'all do what you want to do. Stitch what you want when you want. It's totally fine. I find it too hectic and too stressful. It's too much for me. So I'm going to be doing something that I'm calling Mindful March, which you're welcome to join in on. I don't have it really fleshed out very well right now, because I just haven't had the capacity to jump into some of the things. But there's a website that probably I might link it maybe if I remember. There's a website that talks specifically about how you can mindfully cross stitch. There's a whole process. It's like very involved. There's an ongoing stitch along that the website is already talking about or is instructing you about and that sort of thing. So I'm going to be looking more into that to see if that's the avenue I want to take as far as my mindful stitching. But for me, Mindful March just means taking some time out to stitch in a more in not intentional. I always stitch intentionally, but what I tend to do is I stitch while I'm watching other things. But I think what I want to do is take some time for some sort of meditative stitching in March. So I'm going to be working my focus piece for that, just because I feel like it's one of my most meditative feeling pieces. I'm actually going to be pulling out Relentless, I think. And my feeling for that is to stitch on that in a more intentional and focused way. So thinking in a more meditative way. I don't know how to explain it other than that. I'm gonna be so I'll have like television and no books, and I'll have all the stuff turned off. It'll be me and the cross stitch and just sort of stitching in a mindful way, so that I'm feeling the sensations of the stitching, and just sort of like connecting with the stitching and with myself and that kind of stuff. So it's sort of like, if you could apply yoga to stitching, I think that's sort of the situation, but I'm still doing some investigating. If you want to join in, you're more than welcome. There are no rules. It's not one of those things that has rules. It's just whatever mindfulness is to you. If you want to apply that to your stitching, do that in March. And that's just for me as a way of counteracting the stress I feel related to things like March matchups and things like that. So things have been very stressful. I definitely need some time to kind of pull away from the stress and recenter and things like that. So that's what it's about for me. I'll talk about it more next week when I've had a chance, hopefully, to look into some of that. And I know Beck has offered multiple times to help me if I need to get anything together for that. So I'm going to pull together what resources I can. We'll talk about it more next week. I got to go. So as always, stay hydrated, take all the meds that you need to take, and remember that you are enough. I will see you all again next time. Bye.